delegates. They were quite skeptical because, of course, we have missiles here.
Yeah.
We have a dispute with China.
Yeah.
But it's no excuse. In my opinion, it's no excuse because Malaysia has a dispute, like we've mentioned. Vietnam has a dispute. But there's still an open dialogue for commerce and business. The problem, if I may say, in the Philippines is we combine them. And there's a rise of xenophobia. Like just because he or she is Chinese, we distance ourselves. I think we should have a separate dimension, if I may use the word, for business and politics.
Magandang araw po sa inyo lahat. A good day to everyone. This is a broadcast from the ASEAN Century Philippines Strategic Studies Institute. I am Herman T. Laurel of the ACP SSSI, and we are going to discuss with the representative of the ACP SSSI to the ASEAN Summit, which was a really big event because it was not just the ASEAN Summit, it was the East Asia Summit, the ASEAN Business Summit also, and several other summits, the bilaterals also between ASEAN and
dialogue
partners, China, South Korea,
Japan,
Russia,
EU.
US, EU.
And recently Canada is there.
So to my right is Mr. Hugo Santos, our colleague and a businessman, but also a scholar. So I call him a scholar businessman or businessman scholar, which comes first. But with his interest in international relations, he's now studying masteral at the Miriam College or University Miriam College. While doing business. So I would prioritize the scholarship that he is undertaking over the business. Where is this Peace Festival?
Peace Festival was held last year in Sri Lanka, Colombo.
Okay. What institution sponsored it, if you can recall?
It's based in India. The name escapes me now, but it's every year. It's held with the anniversary of the peace movement of Gandhi.
That's very interesting. Before I ask about the youth meeting or summit, what was discussed in the peace summit? What can you share with us about that? How did it benefit you?
The one in Sri Lanka?
The one in Sri Lanka.
Well, the event was, if I'm not mistaken, World Youth Peace Festival. It was held in Colombo, Sri Lanka, and hosted by the former President Sirisena of Sri Lanka. And we were promoting, of course, world peace. So peace amongst countries, peace among youths, and it's mostly about how we could get along. How we could get along with culture, sports, student exchanges, cultural exchanges. And of course, as a Filipino, I'm always being asked, how is the Philippines? Are you going to war?
Are you going to war?
Yeah, that's a usual question again. And how's the situation there? How are the Chinese? So, of course, I would say, as a normal citizen, I would say that that's why I'm here. We should promote peace, harmony, because we are Asians. We always are a peaceful continent, So that's something that Gandhi started back in the day, and that's something that we should champion every year, right? Which is, I think, it's a good thing, especially considering our polarized world.
Yeah, especially at this moment in history, where the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to the Japanese Hiroshima and Nagasaki Victims Organization. A stark reminder that we are approaching a critical period in global peace. So it's very good you mentioned this peace summit among the youth that was held, centered around the inspiration from Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes.
That's very interesting. That's in Sri Lanka last year, 2023. You mentioned Prime Minister how do you pronounce it?
His former President Sirisena of
Sirisena. Okay.
Sri Lanka.
Yeah, of Sri Lanka. I remember him very well because I've written several articles about Sri Lanka and
he went here.
Sri, how do you pronounce it again?
Sirisena.
He was here. have to master it again.
He gets along with President Duterte.
Okay, yeah, and he was very close also to China and the Belt and Road Initiative and the Hanban Tuta report, or I hope I pronounce it correctly, because all these are very distant about the Sri Lanka engagement with the Belt and Road Initiative. There was a lot of disinformation against the Hanban Tuta report, of course, but it is turning out to be an economic boon to Sri Lanka. Well, that's one. So let's go to the most recent event that you, well, say maybe the Vladivostok event also should be elaborated a bit on. How did you get interested? What is the formal theme, if you can recall?
Well, the Vladivostok one?
Yeah, Vladivostok.
It's economic forum focused on the East. That's why it's called the Eastern Economic Forum. So key guests were, of course, Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, which is quite connected later on in the ASEAN. It's mostly about investments, trade, commerce, no politicizing. Although, of course, it's the elephant in the room.
Yes.
So, of course, Prime Minister Anwar had to mention that there is a dispute in the South China Sea. There are many claimants. It's no secret. However, economic interests and business are top priority for Malaysia. So, of course, there's a huge Chinese delegation there. And he had to say, we have disputes with China. However, we have to trade with China. So, the disputes are not the sum of the bilateral relationship between China and Malaysia. And you can see that despite possible pressures from the West, Malaysia chooses to engage with Moscow because, of course, gas and proximity-wise, Russia is still part of Asia. So Malaysia is trying to get the best of all worlds in the simpler term.
Yeah, I remember discussing with some Malaysian diplomats, and they were surprised that there was not a single report about Anwar's speeches at the event and discussions with President Putin of Russia, while the rest of the region and of course in Malaysia, because this was the main story. But that's good, and so we move on, unless you have anything to add to the Vladivostok Summit.
I actually, after that, this is how I see it. This is the sequel to that. So we could move on to the ASEAN Business Summit.
So let's go to the ASEAN Summit, which was a combination of so many other summits.
Same time.
Yeah, same time. That's why there's a lot of confusion when we read the reports about the final conclusion statement. The Philippine reports narrated the complaint of the U.S. and its allies that Russia and China blocked a conclusion or concluding statement. But which statement? One report says it's East Asia Summit statement.
And one report says it's
the other next paragraph would say ASEAN Summit conclusion. So it's very confusing. There's a lot of disinformation about it. But maybe we'll clarify it in the course of our discussion. So, well, before we go on to the ASEAN Summit, let me just go back a bit to your initial interest in this ASEAN Summit. How did you get? Of course, it has been publicized for several months now. Were there any other Filipinos in the summit aside from the official delegation?
There's a Philippine ASEAN Business Advisory Council, or ASEAN BAC, which is headed by Mr. Joey Concepcion of Go Negosyo, and of course all major businessmen like Michael Tan of
the Fortune Group,
yes,
Group.
And many more. I don't remember them for now, but usually it's led by Mr. Joey Concepcion and the rest of the Business Advisory Council.
And this was in September. This summit was it in September?
Last week.
Last October. It was already October.
October 8. 8 to 11, Business Summit.
8 to 11. 8, 9, 10, 11, 4 days.
4 days, yes.
Combined so many.
And there are side events.
Side events
in the evening.
Okay, and what was, I recall the theme is about digital connectivity,
enhancing
cooperation.
Enhancing connectivity and resilience.
Yes. That's why I was wondering when the news reports about the objections of the US and so on came about. Uh, their protests were not connected to the theme.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's a business summit, so of course most of the world leaders are in one page. AI, digitalization, reducing digital barriers, food security, the usual things. So you can see that in the business summit, the leaders wear a salesman hat. In the meeting with other leaders, they're wearing their diplomatic hat. So it's hard to tell. You're right. It's really hard to tell what's in their mind. Because at one hotel, they're speaking about business, commerce, trade, cooperation. At another convention center, they're talking about militarization and everything. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint what it is. But when it comes to business, the atmosphere is at least the same.
Okay. So let's look at the scenes that you took from the summit. Let's start with this one. This is a group of.
So this is during one of the lunches of the hotel. So the place is called, if I'm not mistaken, Mekong Riverside Hotel. So this hotel is a 5-star hotel. It's overlooking Thailand. Like from the naked eye, you can see Thailand from the other side of the river. So me and other Filipino delegates.
So there are other Filipino delegates in this photo.
Yeah, so I brought my friend from the Filipino Chinese.
Also in Barong.
Also in Barong. Because in ASEAN, we all look the same.
Yeah.
So these are, but the rest of the people in the table are from the Lao business community. And they're all beneficiary of the Belt and Road, SEZ's, Special Economic Zone.
Yeah. I think I have a news report about the Belt and Road, the train project of China with Laos later on.
Yeah.
You also have this brochure from.
Yeah, I got this. It's like trading port, and all the deliveries from China, Myanmar, Vietnam goes through here.
Yeah.
So you can see the benefits of Lao PDR. You can
initiative.
Everyone, they're all from different sectors: education, trade and commerce, gold. Lao gold, yeah. They're all a beneficiary of this.
Next photo. This is your photo with Prime Minister Trudeau.
Yeah.
Canada.
Actually, with Canada, this is a very interesting case. Since 2017, he was here, ASEAN Summit. You can see Canada said, Prime Minister said, ASEAN is a very attractive region. This is the fastest growing region in the world. And Canadian companies are slowly investing in ASEAN. Unlike before, where people from Southeast Asia, we should go to Canada and everything. But now, the market is different. Everyone wants to go to Canada to study, and then after that, they go home. So for the Canadian delegates, they asked, what is it with Southeast Asia? So they wanted to invest in the market because everyone's here. I mean, the US, Russia, China, the EU. So Canada wants a piece of the cake, if I can put it in that term. And they want to exchange services between both countries from technology, AI, EV, VinFast, right? It's from Vietnam. Increase trade with Southeast Asia because he didn't say it here, but the Canadian said they want to reduce reliance on China. But of course, this is the ASEAN Summit, so he's trying to win the hearts of Southeast Asia.
Yeah. Of course, there's an ongoing tug of war in trade with Canada and China, between Canada and China.
So they're looking at alternatives.
Yeah. Okay. The next photo, let's see. Who is this?
New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon.
Luxon. Yeah.
So
did you have any short discussion with the Prime Minister?
He walked through with the delegates on his way in, and I'm surprised. Before I even asked him, the Vietnamese were asking him, "What do you think of the South China Sea?" So I didn't need to ask it anymore.
Okay.
They said he is just there to do trade and commerce with the region. It's actually really nice, and we are talking with the regional partners. I don't know which, but he said we're talking with the regional partners. We are trying to collaborate with fellow Commonwealth countries, Canada, Australia, about the security of the region, but he wants to focus on trade relations between ASEAN and New Zealand, because I think it's very young. New Zealand and ASEAN,
Yes.
it's compared to Australia or US, it's kind of young. So
Yes.
he's trying to build relations.
We're not very familiar with New Zealand in the Philippines.
No, not yet.
Good, you introduce the name of the Prime Minister there now, Lukson.
Yeah.
Okay, next image. Oh, what are these? These are usherettes for
This,
the event?
I was talking to one of the representatives from VietJet.
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 Airplane.
I don't think we have. We don't. Yeah, we don't have VietJet here. I was asking him. I said because Tony Fernandez was here. Air Asia's Tony Fernandez was here.
Yeah.
So I was asking him, sir, what do you think this airline? They say it's low cost, but this airline would open to the Philippine market. He said he's really looking into it because this is a promising market. So, and they're looking into direct flights. I think Da Nang, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh, because of course you have Air Asia, you have Cebu Pacific, but they want to penetrate our market.
Okay.
So they're trying to penetrate most markets because Vietnam is very advanced already. That includes VietJet.
Okay, next photo. This is EU. What's his name again?
This is EU Council President Charles Michael.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so he is here, of course, as a dialogue partner, and he said we need more integration in ASEAN because EU, according to him, is really integrated, at least economic-wise. So he wants ASEAN to be more integrated for faster trade between the two regional
more
blocks.
integration between EU and ASEAN or ASEAN itself?
ASEAN itself first, because for him to say that, it means we're not that united.
That's one perspective. In general, the ASEAN is quite solid, except for recently the Philippines.
Recently, yeah.
Oh, so let's move on. Next image.
So yes, this is actually hosted by ERIA. I forgot what the acronym stands for, but it's ASEAN Business Awards, the final one. So we had the first few awardees here in Peninsula.
Okay.
And then the final, of course, is the ASEAN Summit. So top entrepreneurs in the ASEAN region, they wanted to award and show their recognition. Of course, the Philippines. In Tagalog, hindi tayo magpapatalo. We have our small businesses who want to compete and collaborate with the region.
Let's move on. Still more photos.
This is very interesting. It's very rare, at least most Filipinos, it's very rare to be talking to North Koreans.
These are North Koreans.
These are North Koreans, yeah. Because I asked them, they were serving us in the hotel for 4 days.
So they're workers in Laos.
In Laos.
They're workers.
Yes. And I said, are you from China? Because they don't look Lao. They said, no, we're from the DPRK. I'm like, wow. And they speak good English. And, they can travel freely in Laos. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, in China and Russia and Vietnam. So I think this is a testament for all of us that they are not the perceived evil, or they're not perceived as slaves or defectors. They can go out of the country as long as they have a purpose, they have a permit and everything.
So very normal people, just like you and me. And
very normal people.
So that's a very good insight that you brought to us.
And of course,
our
president. So they had a meeting with the Filipino community.
So this was with the Filipino community. Yes. All the rest of the crowd is Filipinos.
But and some Lao that wanted to see the president.
Okay.
So the speech was mostly about he is surprised. There's a lot of Filipinos there, and he wants to invest in Laos in a way because ASEAN is rising. It's a fast-growing region, and we are here to join them and rise with them. But at the same time, he champions the Filipinos abroad, OFWs in Lao PDR.
These are very, very unique insights that you have brought to our audience and to the Filipino people, and this is very valuable. Any other photos from your trip or somewhere?
That's
Lana. Okay. What was the atmosphere? And of course, with regards to the Philippines, what were the reactions of the people you interacted with there?
Well, they said that with the speech of President Marcos, it's great. He sold the country well, but they're still quite skeptical. For example, dialogue partners outside ASEAN, Australia, New Zealand, EU delegates, and there are actually even a lot of British
Mm,
delegates. They were quite skeptical because, of course, we have missiles here.
yeah,
We have a dispute with China,
yeah.
but it's no excuse. In my opinion, it's no excuse because Malaysia has a dispute, like we've mentioned.
Mm,
Vietnam has a dispute, but
dispute, yeah.
there's still an open dialogue for
Yeah.
commerce and business. The problem, if I may say, in the Philippines is we combine them,
Mm,
and there's a rise of xenophobia.
mm,
Like just because he or she is Chinese, we distance ourselves. I think we should have a separate dimension, if I may, if I may use the word, for business and politics. Because yes, the president sold the country. He tried to lure in investments, but of course, these investors are going to think long term wise, is it going to be good there, or I would rather go Indonesia. I would rather go Vietnam because I mean we have a lot of red tapes. We have a lot of policies that are gonna be harder for them.
mm.
So if we could, we don't need to copy, but if we could model ourselves the way our ASEAN neighbors does, I think we're gonna be maybe the top
Okay.
top tier economy of ASEAN.